The biting wind sliced through Ethan Walker's worn-out jacket as he tightened his grip on the grocery bags. His 5-year-old daughter, Lily, held on to his hand, her little boots crunching on the icy pavement. It was the third time this week he'd had to pick up extra hours at the diner, and still, they barely scraped by. His life was a whirlwind of dishwashing, quick meals, daycare pickups, and bedtime stories told by flashlight when the electricity was cut again. He'd lost his wife 3 years ago to a car accident that shattered their world. Since then, everything had been about Lily. She was the reason he woke up each morning, the reason he kept pushing forward despite the mounting bills and the relentless ache of exhaustion. That Saturday morning, snowflakes fluttered from a gray sky, dusting the sidewalks of their small Ohio town. Ethan had just finished his shift and was heading home when he noticed a sleek black SUV pulled to the side of the road with the hood up. Most drivers would just pass by, but something made him slow down. A woman stood by the car, her long coat whipping in the wind, frustration etched across her face. She didn't look like she belonged here. Her heels were more suited for a boardroom than a slushy roadside. Still, she was stranded, and Ethan couldn't ignore that. "Everything okay, ma'am?" he asked, approaching cautiously. She looked up, startled. "Not really. I think the battery died. And of course, I left my phone at the hotel." Ethan glanced under the hood. "Mind if I take a look?" "Please, go ahead. I'm not much of a mechanic." Within minutes, he had her battery jump-started. She watched him with curiosity as he worked, noticing the calluses on his hands, the tired lines around his eyes, the quiet way he focused. "You're good at this," she said when the engine roared back to life. He shrugged. "Used to do more of it. Life changes." "Well, thank you. I don't know what I would have done." He smiled faintly. "Just glad I could help. Can I offer you something? Coffee? Lunch?" she asked, reaching for her purse. He shook his head. "Thanks, but I've got to get my daughter home." Before she could protest, he waved and walked away, Lily skipping beside him. She watched them until they disappeared down the street. That night, the woman couldn't stop thinking about the man who had stopped to help her without asking for anything in return. In a world where everyone seemed to want something, he had simply offered kindness. Her name was Isabella Hart. Few people recognized her without her PR team, but she was one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the country. Tech mogul, philanthropist. Her schedule was usually airtight, her security team never far. But that morning, she had decided to experience normalcy. No assistants, no drivers. Just a walk to clear her mind. And now, she found herself wondering about the man in the diner uniform, the little girl with pigtails, the quiet dignity they carried. Isabella returned to the same street the next day, but he was gone. She stopped at a local coffee shop, hoping someone might know him. When she described him, the barista's eyes lit up. "That's Ethan Walker. Works at the diner 2 blocks down. Single dad. Nicest guy you'll ever meet." She left a generous tip and walked to the diner. Through the fogged-up window, she spotted him refilling a customer's coffee, smiling gently. It was busy. She waited until the rush died down, then slipped into a booth. When he came over, recognition flickered in his eyes. "You again. Everything okay?" "Better now," she said. "I wanted to thank you properly." He smiled. "It was no big deal." "It was to me," she replied. "Do you always help strangers in the snow?" He chuckled. "I try. There's enough cold in the world already." They talked for a while. About Lily, about life, about what it meant to survive loss and keep going. She was moved by his honesty, his resilience. He asked nothing of her, even when he recognized her name. Over the next few weeks, Isabella returned to the diner. She brought books for Lily, helped Ethan fix the leaky faucet in his apartment, invited them to local events. She became a part of their routine, though she never made a show of her wealth. One evening, as they sat in the park watching Lily chase fireflies, Isabella turned to Ethan. "You changed my life," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "Pretty sure it was the other way around." She shook her head. "You reminded me that kindness doesn't need a stage, that it can be quiet and powerful and real." A few days later, Ethan received a letter. It was an offer, a job at one of Isabella's companies. Not charity, she explained, but recognition. He had skills, experience, and the kind of leadership she valued. He hesitated. The change would be massive. But when he looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully, he thought of the future he wanted to build for her. He accepted. Months passed. Ethan adapted to his new role with humility and strength. Lily flourished in a better school, surrounded by opportunities Ethan never imagined. He and Isabella grew closer. Slowly, steadily, something deeper took root between them. Not just gratitude or admiration, something that felt like home. Years later, at a charity gala in New York City, the story of how they met was shared on stage. The crowd applauded, some wiping away tears. But Ethan, standing beside Isabella, only had eyes for Lily, now 10 and beaming in the front row. Kindness, he had learned, wasn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it was just stopping in the snow to help a stranger. And sometimes, that small act could change everything. Not because he expected anything, but because it was the right thing to do. And in a world starved for connection, that simple choice had opened a door to a life he never dreamed possible. All because one man chose to be kind. And one woman never forgot it. The story has been crafted as requested, a heartfelt narrative with emotional depth, rich characters, and a powerful message about kindness and humanity. Would you like me to expand or adapt any part of it for a specific format like a YouTube script or article?